Oh boy. Oh shit. All right. Hello, hello, loves. This is Rachael O'Meara, your host for the Pausecast. I'm coming to you live today with a very, very special episode. How to shift your wellness in 3 simple steps as if your life depended on it. And I want to get into this a little bit because it's so important. And these 3 steps could be ginormous, detailed, deep dives in themselves. So let's go into each one. And really how this all came about was I was asked to write an article on this topic of wellness, given it's mental health month here. And I was thinking about what could I really boil down to 3 simple steps that feel like they're easy or that they're graspable and practical and anyone can do them. So I want to share this statistic with you too, because it's pretty powerful. Because, we want to thrive. We are born to thrive. We are born as kids, motivated, happy, and then life happens, right? Like things happen. We get into all kinds of things. And there's a lot going on still right now here. And there's a lot to navigate. In fact, a recent statistic I want to share from last December 2020 is that 76% of US workers admit to feeling burned out, and about a little less than 40% stress that COVID-19 was a direct contributor to that work. And thinking about it right now, there's still COVID-19, there's still stressors, and we aren't always in control of that, right? Like we're not. It's happening whether we want it to or not, whether we show up for work or we don't show up, or we take a holiday or we don't take a holiday. And so the idea is, how do you navigate that? Whether COVID's happening or it's just a regular day as if it was 2018. I bet there were still stressors going on for you in another year if it wasn't for COVID-19, but this has just amplified everything. And I know I've talked about this, but to boost your wellness, what I think is really important and necessary is to pause. Obviously, pausing is an intentional shift in behavior. And that's the book that I wrote based on my burnout of Google 10 years ago now. But we need to really think about it like our life depends on it. Who's with me on that? Like your life depends on your care for you. I think that's a radical new way to think about things, because I don't think any of us really grew up with that sentiment. I know at least I didn't. I didn't have parents who, God bless their souls, they did the best that they could, but there was definitely not a lot of awareness happening at any level other than eat your vegetables, get out of the pool, clean up your room. Like that's the level of awareness that I was at, which who else can relate, right? So what if my life depended on, what if I knew my life depended on eating my vegetables? And I think maybe at one level it did, but it's bigger than that. This is about not just physical taking care in our diet, right? We're going way beyond that. We're blowing the doors off of what is tangible, because we need to think bigger, people. We need to think bigger. We need to know that right now there is a very fragile balance with the world and how we show up in it. And it is seriously out of whack, as you can probably tell. So let's get into these 3 simple steps, but just imagine this. I invite you to think about this as you listen, as if your life depended on it, in terms of, if I don't do this, I'm going to be one of those statistics where I feel fatigued, where I feel exhausted, where I feel like I don't know up from down because I just keep going. And the reality is we can change that. You have the power to change that. And here's the 3 steps to get started. Are you with me? All right, so let's talk about number 1. This one is not going to be a surprise, but taking daily pauses. Taking daily pauses. So a pause, remember, it's not just hanging out and taking a break, although it can be. It is so much bigger. It is an intentional shift in behavior for you. That means you consciously thought about it and said, I'm going to do this so that X happens, or that this is important to me, or that I can get refreshed, or that I can change and shift gears. Okay. And I heard this concept recently. I'm going to just totally steal it because it's not my word, but noticing what's important now, or when. What's important now is that fundamental way to think about a pause. So focusing on that. And I feel like pausing is this gateway towards so much more, because if we aren't still, how can we know what to do next if we're not listening inwards? And that might sound a little weird, or it might sound like, yeah, Rachel, I know, I get that. It's just hard to do. Or maybe it's even, yeah, I get that. And I do it, but why aren't I still where I wanted to be? Where is my wellness not where I want it to be? So don't worry about all that, because right there, you're thinking too much. You're just in it. Who's in it? Like, I know I'm in that a lot. So pausing is an intentional shift in behavior, focusing on what's important now. When? What's important now? And I ask you right now in this moment, what's your win? Just name it out loud or think it right now, wherever you are. Is it getting to work? Is it a workout? Is it listening to me? Is it doing your nails while you're listening to me and multitasking? What's important now? And what's really important? Not necessarily what you're doing, because that's the autopilot potentially, but what's important, what matters now. For me to share what I'm thinking and feeling, I've struggled to get this podcast out in a timely manner. So what's important now was for me to record this Pausecast today, despite 3 days of not getting it done, despite scheduling, despite intention, despite tree trimmers outside of my window, despite not having a lot of sound barrier, sound absorber in the room because I just moved in. But that's important now. Are you picking up what I'm laying down? Right? And the other one thing I want to mention about the win, and I said this a little bit earlier, is listening inside, listening inwards is an incredible tool as you pause. And we don't know what we're like, when we focus externally, when we are listening outside, whether it's other people or what we think we should be doing, or what we know, but maybe haven't really considered what might be better, like it's autopilot, right? When we're not really thinking about things consciously, when we're in that space, that's not how we improve our well-being. Are you following that track? Right? Improving our well-being as if our life depends on it is you listening inward, because that's when you get in alignment. You understand, I am feeling horrible today, or I am feeling delighted today. What can I do to support this or to shift this so I can feel different or the same? And that's where it's tied to emotion. And that's how pausing is so powerful. Okay. So these daily pauses, what is your daily pause? What is something that you like to do as an intentional shift in behavior as well today? And a pause is what works for you. Okay. It doesn't mean that I prescribe you go take your favorite cup of tea and listen to a song. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's a dance party. I personally love dance parties, 2, 3, 5 minutes, moving our bodies. It's so powerful. And research shows us that when we do that, it's actually even better than that 3 o'clock slump remedy traditionally for like cookies and coffee. We all know that one, right? So what is your pause today? It can be gazing out the window. It can be listening to this or something else that brings you joy or satisfaction. It can be a trip to the mailbox and being excited for what kind of junk mail will I get today? What kind of solicitation will be in my mailbox? I'm joking, I jest here, but you know what I'm saying. It could be naming a feeling. I'm just feeling sluggish. I'm just feeling really like sad. I don't want to do anything. Awesome. Like, great to name it. Or a pause can be a deep conscious breath. It could be 5 to 10 breaths, just taking that one breath. And if you want to join me here, inhaling through your nose, exhaling slowly through your mouth, like you're blowing out a straw. Boom. All those pauses work. And if you want more suggestions for pauses, if you're kind of like, well, whatever I've tried, I want to try something else, then go to my website. We've got a great list of daily pauses there in the free gift, how to turn overwhelm into thriving at work. Okay. And it's also in my Facebook group, Be the Pause Sisterhood. Actually, it's called Pause to Thrive now, Sisterhood. And it's in the files there. You can join. It's a total cohort of women supporting women. And even if you're not a woman and you want that support, you're okay to join. Totally. You know, this is more of a collective. It happens to be more women, but I am totally okay with people joining who would prefer to be in it over gender. So that's what I'm talking about. And another tip is just think about what's worked for you in the past. Okay. What have you done as a pause that's worked for you, that you felt nourished by, that you felt supported with? Is it talking to friends? A good friend? Is it to feel connected? If you've got pets, really feeling that. Is it doing something for someone else, buying a card or a gift? Is it a nice, nourishing, healthy meal? Is it a good night's rest? Is it journaling? Is it a body scan? Is it being out in the sunshine and closing your eyes and feeling the warm sun on your skin? Isn't that cool? All of those things count as pauses. And so that is, my friends, what it is to mean your life depends on this, to take that. Okay, there you go. We've just wrapped the first step. The second step, the second little thing you can do as if your life depends on it, is to choose what you pay attention to. Okay. So is your inner critic on fire today? Kind of flared up? Maybe there's some chatter happening, or you looked at yourself in the mirror and just didn't even want to look at yourself, or you're like, meh. I know I have those days. So just instead of that, you could say hello. Try that sometime, right? Hi there. Hello, you. But pay attention to what you pay attention to as if your life depends on it. Because here's the deal, and you may know this, but when we decide what we focus on, because we have that choice, we can make it conscious. We can choose to orient towards that negative mindset where we're wired for negativity, or to focus on either neutral or even positive thoughts, positive things. So that can really make a difference. And it might just be noticing, looking out that window in a pause and noticing the green tree leaves outside your window, or the sun's reflection in one of the fence spires. I'm happy to look at those now. I happen to look at those now, right? So making that happen is important, but also know this: if you create structure and routines that hone your focus through those types of distractions, including those things like your critic mind or maybe uncomfortable emotions, then you're so on your way. And that might mean that you have a routine. Maybe there's a morning routine, or maybe there's a routine at lunch, or maybe there's a routine for working out, or an evening ritual that you do. That is an opportunity. It could be a routine to focus on the positive. How cool would that be? The idea is that you can do that and just take that pause at the end and celebrate what you've accomplished. Celebrating is so underrated. And I know John Gottman's research from his work in couples and relationships says that for every negative expression, for every negative comment, we need Guess how many we need to neutralize it, and guess how many we need to turn that into something positive. And this is with another person, so it's not quite the same, but I think you get the idea. So for one negative thought, or actually one negative remark, or it's the same as a thought, basically. We need 5 positive to neutralize it. And to make it positive, we need somewhere upwards to 7 to 10. I believe that's the research. So just think about that in terms of your brain. So if you've got negative thoughts, negative judgments, negative things that aren't serving you, whether it's about yourself, others, or the world, think about what you would need and how important it is to bring in the positive for you. And that's why people are all over gratitude journaling right now, because there is a lot of negative going on in the world. Gratitude journaling is something as a powerful daily pause that can really, really step into moving into that positive energy and the positive thoughts that you can have. Okay. So there you go. So taking daily pauses, deciding and choosing what you pay attention to, because that's the thing with choosing to pay attention, that is your free will, that is your choice. And you have the total power, even if you think you can't. I challenge you to know and to think and try that if you have a negative thought today, you can counter it and you can say, hey, wait a second, because that's your awareness. Pause to notice and say, nah, yeah, not today. You're not allowed to talk today in that way to me. Negative man, negative woman, whoever's inside of my head. That is not okay. And you can be firm. You can be very that kind self-parent voice. Notice I didn't go into a big dramatic buildup, being like, oh my God, there I go again. How did I do this? So you are a badass and don't worry, you are fine. Like that tone is not going to serve you, right? You want that kind parent voice, which brings me to the third step. The third step is if your life depended on your well-being. And this one, I believe, really has so much to offer all of us. But this third step, and it's not as easy as it sounds, but I think it can just start with the little things, is to generate self-compassion. Okay, third tip, generate self-compassion, this third simple step. So what does that mean? How the heck do you do that? And what is compassion? Let's just get to that point, right? Self-compassion is simply the act of caring for oneself. Okay, simple, simple, simple. Don't overcomplicate it. And what does that mean? So it can mean many different things, but just know that I would ask myself, what can I do to take care of myself? It's giving yourself kindness. And Kristen Neff, Dr. Neff, who really studies this at detail, she's got a lot of really good resources on her site, Kristen Neff. Maybe I'll have her on the podcast here sometime. What she says is that it entails being warm and understanding toward ourselves when we suffer, fail, or feel inadequate, rather than ignoring our pain, rather than just pushing it aside, denying it, or treating ourselves poorly. So like props to you, Kristen. I love your work. And what if we all did that? What if we all went around on this planet having a little self-compassion? And I say generate, by the way, not create or get self-compassion or have it, because we need to generate it. It is hard. It is a generative activity. How can I be compassionate in this moment right now? And now, and now, and right now. And how about now? Okay, so it's an ongoing inquiry. And we need to know ourselves that it's possible, but that's the question I would say. And this is when our life depends on it too. What could you do right now in this moment to care deeply for yourself? Give it yourself. I'm going to give you 15 seconds to just think through this or say it out loud. It might be something you tell yourself, it might be an act, it might be a touch. Hmm. Got it. Did everyone think of something? I did. And maybe your parent kind voice came to you and shared a loving thought. Simple, simple thought, maybe. For me, I I just said, I love you. That's all I said. And that's a great start if you want to say that. And that's hard if you're just starting out to say that. But it might just be, you got this. I see you. That is huge in the world of self-compassion, because we don't stop, because we're not necessarily thinking in that aware depth of level daily and moment by moment. But think of this as well, like the bigger tip I have in this generating self-compassion area is to make allow your voice to take the place of like that nurturing internal parent voice that you have, that we all have. It may be a little underdeveloped. It might be a little dormant. It might be kind of loud, which is awesome. And it's on fire. You're on fire. But thinking like, whether it's a mama or a papa bear voice, right? Think about a bear in the wilderness. And I love this analogy. That bear in the wilderness, what do they do? Especially a mama bear, what do they do when their cub is threatened? Maybe there's a animal nearby that's hungry. Maybe there's a hiker nearby, right? They don't just like sit by and say, hey, yeah, go ahead, pass through. I'm sure we'll see you soon. Come on, that is so not the case, right? They're just all about protection. Their claws come out, they might snare their teeth, growl, they might even attack. And so the idea is, when you're in that protection mode, that's the type of internal voice that you can cultivate and generate yourself. And that's that, no, not right now. That's not okay to talk to me like that. But that means you're okay, and you can just experiment with this. And the other really important part to mention is that when we are generating self-compassion, when we're noticing this and it's on our radar and we think about it like, what can I do right now to feel that kindness, to have kindness right now in my day, in my moment? Because life happens moment by moment. Quote by Dr. Bob Ray. Research tells us that self-compassion is a critical component to building inner strength and contributes to better health and well-being. That is spot on. So we probably all have elements of self-compassion happening at any time, right? That might mean something super simple like you go to bed. That's a kindness activity for you, right? Going to bed to get sleep, to rest, and to wake up in the next day. Awesome. So what else could you do? What could take this to the next level as if your life depended on it? That's the type of fierceness we're talking about. Okay, so that's it. You've got the three wellness steps that you can try out and build on. Take daily pauses. You can start right now. Choose what you pay attention to, and generate self-compassion. All three of those are critical parts to feeling cared for, feeling wellness that works for you, and knowing that all is well as you continue to build that in these three simple steps. And even if you just do one, great, you got to start somewhere. And even if you're already doing one, great, maybe you can add in a second one. But remember, that's the type of level we're looking at, is if your life depended on it, what else would you do or could you do? And then you might start to notice the benefits. And the benefits are life-changing. We know that when we feel more self-compassion, or when we allow ourselves to pause, we are more aligned. We have more self-awareness. We know when we are feeling tired, or we know when we are feeling pain and we need a moment. All of that works. And so I'm so excited that you stopped by today to learn these three things. And I invite you, as someone who values pausing, because I think if you didn't, you wouldn't be here, in service to your doing, maybe you're like rising to your next level of leadership, or being true to who you could become and excited about what lays ahead for you, and you're just working on yourself in little ways like this, then kudos. That's all good. And I thank you for stopping by today and being with me. I'll see you next time on the Pausecast. You. I think that's a radical new way to think about things, because I don't think any of us really grew up with that sentiment. I know at least I didn't. I didn't have parents who, God bless their souls, they did the best that they could, but there was definitely not a lot of awareness happening at any level other than eat your vegetables, get out of the pool, clean up your room. Like, that's the level of awareness that I was at, which who else can relate, right? So what if my life depended on, what if I knew my life depended on eating my vegetables? And I think maybe at one level it did, but it's bigger than that. We're treating ourselves. And the other really important. Well, hello, loves, and welcome to the Pausecast. I've been on a little bit of a pause myself. You may have noticed we didn't have an episode last month, and it's been almost 2 months. And I think sometimes we need to give ourselves permission to pause. For me, there was a bunch of personal things going on. There was a purchase of a home, moving, there was work, there was all kinds of stuff. And I told myself, Rachel, it's okay. You don't need to worry about having this done. The only person who's got you on a deadline is you. And I say that just to remind all of us and you that we put ourselves under so much pressure sometimes. And we are the only ones who usually suffer from that pressure. And you're going to learn about this today in our topic, 3 simple steps to improve your wellness as if your life depended on it. And you'll notice that what I just said to myself, that is an example of really generating self-compassion, of feeling that kindness to myself, but also honoring that and where I'm at, and not being harsh, not being a critic. And that's hard. And so I just give you that as an example because we're going to talk about that today in our 3 steps. And I originally wrote this as an article. This podcast is now coming to life as our training here in our Pausecast episode for the month. But I wrote this as an article for Watermark. Watermark is a women's networking community and leadership community in the Bay Area. And so shout out to Watermark peeps in the community. And I thank you for inviting me to share these 3 steps with you, because I don't think I would have had this put together in such a way really to make it anyway a podcast, but also really generating a way to easily talk about wellness in the month of August here, which is self-care and what mental wellness month. So with that, I invite you to listen, and we don't have a pause that I guide you through in that we don't have a pause recorded yet. So let's go ahead and have a pause right now where we just pause together. As you know, if you're a regular listener, I invite all my guests who come onto the show to lead a pause, an intentional shift in behavior that they align with. And so I get all kinds of really cool types of pauses. And so today, I invite you to close your eyes if that's possible for you. If not, you can just slightly lower your gaze and keep them, your eyes soft focused, planting your feet on the ground. And if you're standing, great. If you're sitting, great. Sitting up straight, and just, if you're walking, just slowing down a little bit or just stopping completely and feeling your feet on the ground, connecting with roots underneath the ground. Imagine roots are going down and down and down to the earth, pulling up that Mother Earth energy that's so nourishing and so needed and beautiful for all of us. And you might just be thinking, I feel the ground. And that's wonderful. It's all good, no matter what extent you are connected to the ground. Just taking a deep breath, inhaling through your nose, exhaling through your mouth, sitting a little straighter, standing a little taller, feeling that breadth of width of their shoulders taking up space, feeling your length from head to toe, all the space you occupy, feeling your depth, the fronts, the back, the side, the back of you, being fully aware of the space around you. And then as you continue to breathe, bringing your attention up to the crown of your head, and imagine a very thin silver thread connecting you here with the sky, with Father Sky, and pulling in energy, pulling in everything available to you from above. And this energy meeting your central channel, which is your heart, bringing in the earth from below, all the way up your legs into your heart space, bringing in the sky, the heavens, pulling it down, all the way down through to your heart space. And just focusing your attention on your heart space and feeling that beautiful space that is there, available to you at all times. As you are connected to the ground, the sky, your heart, just asking yourself this question: what message do you have for me today? What message is there for me today? And listening internally, inside. Giving yourself a little nod for whatever you've experienced, and knowing and trusting that that is exactly what you need to be experiencing today. Thanking your heart, thanking this beautiful space, sending some love to your heart space, to your body. Opening your eyes if they were closed, just fluttering them open and looking at the different colors, the different textures in the room or outside. Wiggling your toes and fingers and coming back down to the ground. Arriving right back here where you are meant to be. And with that, here's the latest Pausecast. Central channel, which is your heart, bringing in the earth from below all the way up, sending say, what message is there for me today? And listening internally, inside. Sending some love to your heart space, to your body. Opening your eyes if they were closed, just fluttering them open and looking at the different colors, the different textures in the room, or last month. And almost wiggling your toes and fingers and coming back down to the ground, arriving right back here where you are meant to be. And with that, here's the latest Pausecast. Hi, I'm Rachael O'Meara. I'm the host of the Pause. Hi, I'm Rachael O'Meara. I'm the host of the Pausecast. I'm also the author of Pause, Harnessing the Life-Changing Power of Giving Yourself a Break, as well as a private coach for men and women who are struggling with how to get out of overwhelm and reclaim their lives. The Pausecast is dedicated to helping individuals learn the tools and be more self-aware that we can all be more capable of to live our best life, to reach our potential, and to be more satisfied. Thank you for being here, and I'm excited to jump in. And to be more satisfied. Thank you for being here, and I'm excited to jump in. We can all be more capable of to live our best life, to reach our potential, and to be more satisfied. Thank you for being here, and I'm excited to jump in.